For this hearing and echo the words of my friend from Tennessee that if you look at where we get our energy in this country, we're only getting about 0.8% from solar, about 1.4% from wind. And what we need to look at is nuclear. We need to look at coal. Seems to me if we really wanted to reduce our emissions in this country, we would move very quickly on the nuclear and move very quickly to find technology that would capture and sequester carbon so that we could continue using coal. We know that those people overseas are going to use it. And I think the senator from Missouri made a good point when he said that we need, in terms of oil, we need more, we need to find more and use less. The public interest and private sector communities agree that the crucial factor that will determine whether we have an effective climate policy is the extent to which the policy will encourage the development and deployment of needed technology. Yet regulation without sufficient available technology will result in high costs for American consumers while offering little hope that developing nations will answer the call to reduce their emissions. Tackling the climate change problem is not something we can do alone. I agree that the U.S. should be a leader, but while carbon caps or taxes are difficult to sell to the developing world, access to new technology is not. And that's why, Madam Chairman, I have introduced a bill to create a new committee in the Asia-Pacific Partnership designed to enhance and focus international cooperation on clean energy technology development and commercialization. The bill is designed to help speed the widespread adoption of these technologies and provide an additional forum to engage rapidly growing economies on the production and use of clean and efficient energy technologies. That technology development is needed in the areas of carbon capture and sequestration, energy efficiency, and alternative sources of generation such as nuclear, renewables, and alternative motor fuels and hybrids. That's without dispute. But the Waxman proposal does not address these technological needs in a manner that is consistent with the bill's mandates. Recognizing the disconnect between what technology can deliver and the bill's objectives, the authors include numerous provisions to mask the strain this compliance burden will have on the economy. Yet if all these provisions don't work out as planned, and government programs rarely work out as planned, the cost could be enormous. EIA's recent analysis offers a devastating critique of our proposals whose efficacy hinges upon a string of assumptions that defy political, practical, and technological realities. The analysis shows a range of impacts that may accompany the bill's implementation under a variety of technology and offset available assumptions. Notably, even in scenarios where low-carbon technologies are deployed at paces that energy experts agree are implausible, there are significant economic costs. But if offsets and the growth of new technology is more limited, the legislation could devastate the economy through increases in electricity prices of up to 77%, gasoline prices up to 33%, and natural gas up 75%, resulting in a cumulative hit to the GDP of $3.6 trillion by 2030, non-discounted. Senator Baucus recently said, let's face it, the bill we now consider is, quote, a tax bill. I agree. It's not possible to look at putting a price on carbon in any other way. The government's imposing a mandate with the intention of increasing prices to achieve a certain outcome. Accordingly, the costs associated with the bill should be considered with the seriousness that any tax measure is given. Against this backdrop, I'd say that I do support efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But our policy approach must be reasonable, and by that I mean it must ensure economic stability by not causing fuel switching, rapid rate increases, or economic dislocation. And this is contingent upon achievable requirements, that is, requirements that are consistent with the development and deployment of sources of low-carbon energy during a time when the national unemployment rate is at 9.5 and the national debt $11 trillion. Our first responsibility, folks, is to do no harm to the economy. My goals are to keep this nation's economy and that of Ohio on a sure footing while decreasing emissions. Climate change requires a long-term solution whose strategy is fully capable of accommodating the time necessary to reduce emissions in a manner that is consistent with low-carbon technology development and deployment. We can greatly move the process forward if our policy approach embraces realistic goals while providing the necessary resources and incentives to develop and deploy clean energy technologies.
Thank you. Senator Cardin.
Thank you, Madam